There are operations that never made it into any file. No record, no name, no trace. The kind of operations that officially never happened. Agent Rachel Cole had run 17 of them. She was 38 years old, sharp, precise. The kind of woman who noticed everything and revealed nothing. She had worked for the agency for 14 years. And in 14 years, she had never once failed to complete an assignment. Until Operation Midnight. Rachel sat alone in a safe house on the outskirts of Vienna on a cold December morning, staring at a photograph on the table in front of her. The photograph showed a man she'd been sent to find. A man named Victor Sorel, former intelligence analyst. Disappeared 18 months ago with enough classified information to bring down 3 governments and expose the identities of 47 field agents currently working undercover across Europe. Rachel had been hunting him for 6 months. She had found him twice, lost him twice, and now, sitting in that safe house with a cold cup of coffee and 48 hours before her agency pulled her off the case permanently. She was looking at the photograph and thinking about the one thing that had never made sense. Victor Sorel had not run because he was a traitor. She was certain of that now. He had run because someone inside the agency had tried to kill him. And whoever had tried once was going to try again. The question was, who? Her phone vibrated on the table. Unknown number. She answered immediately. The voice on the other end was barely a whisper. Agent Cole, it said. Stop looking for Victor Sorel. A pause. Start looking for the person who sent you to find him. The line went dead. Rachel sat with the dead phone in her hand for a long moment. Then she picked up the photograph of Victor Sorel and looked at it again. She had been given this assignment by Director Harmon. 22 years in the agency. Decorated. Trusted. The kind of man whose word was considered unquestionable. Rachel had never questioned it, until now. She opened her laptop and pulled up Victor Sorel's original file. She had read it dozens of times, but now she read it differently, looking not for what was there, but for what wasn't. It took her 40 minutes to find the first gap. Victor Sorel had flagged an internal security concern 8 days before his disappearance. A routine report, filed through the correct channels, addressed to Director Harmon's office. The report had never been logged. No response, no acknowledgement, no record of it ever being received. Rachel sat back slowly. She pulled up the security logs for the Vienna field office for the week of Victor's disappearance. Cross-referenced them with Harmon's travel records. Harmon had been in Vienna that week. He had told the agency he was in London. Rachel closed the laptop. She stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the grey December street below without seeing it. 14 years. She had trusted this agency with her life, had trusted the people in it with everything she had. She picked up a burner phone from the safe house supply kit. She needed to find Victor Sorel, not to bring him in, to warn him. Finding Victor Sorel the third time took Rachel 11 hours. He was living under a false name in a small apartment above a bookshop in the 7th district of Vienna. The kind of place a man goes when he wants to disappear completely, but cannot quite bring himself to leave the city he loves. She knocked 3 times, the signal they had been taught in training for friendly contact. A long silence. Then the door opened. Victor Sorel looked nothing like his photograph. Thinner, older, eyes that had spent 18 months watching every door and window in every room he entered. He looked at Rachel for a long moment. Then he stepped back and let her in. They sat at his small kitchen table, the bookshop smell drifting up through the floorboards. Outside the window, Vienna went about its morning with complete indifference. "You got the call," Victor said. It wasn't a question. Rachel nodded. "Who made it?" she asked. Victor wrapped both hands around his coffee cup. "Someone who used to work for the agency," he said. "Someone who found out what I found out and got out before Harmon could stop them." He looked at her carefully. "How much do you know?" Rachel told him everything. The missing report, the travel records, the gap in the logs. Victor listened without interrupting. When she finished, he reached under the kitchen table and produced a small hard drive. "Everything is on here," he said. "Every transaction, every communication, every order Harmon gave that never made it into an official file. 18 months of evidence, collected carefully, from sources inside 4 different agencies." He slid it across the table. "I have been waiting," he said quietly, "for the right person to give it to." Rachel looked at the hard drive, then at Victor. "Why me?" she said. Victor almost smiled. "Because you are the only agent Harmon sent after me, who knocked on my door instead of kicking it in." Rachel spent 3 days in Victor's apartment above the bookshop. 3 days going through every file on the hard drive, every transaction, every order, every carefully documented piece of evidence that Victor Sorel had risked his life to collect. It was worse than she had imagined. Director Harmon had been selling classified intelligence for 11 years, not to one buyer, but to several, playing them against each other with the calm precision of a man who considered himself untouchable. The 47 field agents whose identities Victor had supposedly stolen. Harmon had already sold their identities 18 months ago. Victor had found out, and Harmon had sent Rachel to find Victor. Not to bring him in, but to make sure he never had the chance to tell anyone what he knew. Rachel sat with that truth for a long time. Then she picked up her burner phone. She had one contact she trusted completely, a woman named Elise Marsh, who worked for an independent oversight body, entirely outside the agency's reach. They had worked together once, 3 years ago, on an operation that had never made it into any file either. Elise answered on the first ring. "I have something," Rachel said. "Something large. I need 48 hours and a secure location." A pause. Elise's voice was calm and certain. "You have both," she said. "Come in." Director Harmon was arrested on a Thursday morning in January, quietly, professionally, with none of the drama he had spent 11 years believing he was immune to. The operation that brought him down had no official name. Inside the oversight body, it was referred to simply as the Vienna case. Rachel Cole was offered a commendation. She declined. She was offered a promotion. She declined that too. Instead, she submitted a single request, approved without question by the new interim director. Reassignment, effective immediately. She was given a small office in a quiet building in a city she had always wanted to live in. Regular hours, no field work, no operations with no names. Just the careful, patient work of making sure what had happened could never happen again. On her first morning in the new office, she found a book on her desk. No note, no name, just a book, left by someone who had passed through before her. She turned it over. It was a collection of short stories. She made herself a coffee, sat down at her desk, and opened to the first page. Outside the window, the city went about its morning. And for the first time in 14 years, Rachel Cole felt something she had almost forgotten. Safe. That was the unseen hour. A story about the operations nobody talks about. The agents who do what is right instead of what they are told. and the truth that survives no matter how deeply it is buried. Some missions are never in any file, but the ones that matter are always remembered. Subscribe to The Unseen Hour. A brand new story is coming very soon. And remember, the most important operations are the ones fought from the inside. Good night.